Dude, that's like the 15th edit that I've had to do today. I got a lot more I have to do. And what's even crazier, man, is that I have to shoot 2 videos today because I was late on last week's video because I got swamped with editing. So, it sounds like an excuse. I shouldn't be making excuses. This is the first video I'm shooting, and I'm gonna shoot the second video tonight. This YouTube thing, man, is pretty hard to do, but I'm still gonna keep my promise like I told you guys. All right, check it out. I totally get it whenever you're first starting out in filmmaking. There are a ton of different things that you need to buy, and it can be quite daunting to look through your wish list of camera gear that you want to get. But luckily, it doesn't need to be that complicated. I've narrowed it down to the top 3 things that you need to first get as a beginner filmmaker. Starting with number 1, the camera. Now, of course, you can't be sticking to using that phone camera forever. It can only get you so far. There's going to be a certain point where you need to get your first camera. Now, of course, the specs of the camera obviously matters. So the standard for cinematic video in this day and age is 4K, and the frame rates that you're gonna need to be able to shoot at is at minimum 60 frames a second. So ideally, you get yourself a camera that can shoot in 4K 60 frames a second. If you can't swing a 4K 60 frames a second camera, 1080p 60 frames a second is still acceptable. However, do not go below this. This is obviously so you have the choice to shoot in slow motion at 60 frames a second and also being able to shoot in the standard 24 frames a second. At the same time, camera brand is another thing that you need to be considering. Which camera brand do you go for? Well, the top 2 camera brands in the indie filmmaking world are Canon and Sony. There's Panasonic down there as well, but I haven't used Panasonic too much, I'm not gonna lie, so I'm gonna tell you the pros and cons to Canon and Sony. Personally, I am a Canon shooter. I have all Canon glass and Canon cameras. The Red Raven that I've been talking about a lot has a native EF mount, so I am heavily invested in Canon products. And the thing that Canon has advantage over Sony is their colors. Their colors coming out of camera are absolutely beautiful. You don't need to do too much color grading in order to make the image look pretty. However, something that Canon does not have over Sony is their low light performance. Canon cameras, if you go anything above 800 or maybe 1600, you're gonna be getting an extremely grainy image that looks like digital vomit. So you need to be really good at controlling your lighting and getting the correct exposure. So during these vlog videos right here, I tend to actually change my ISO quite a bit because I'm not always in a situation where I can control my lighting. So sometimes you get some fairly grainy images. So that actually is where Sony shines, because Sony has beautiful low light performance. A lot of their cameras have dual native ISOs, where it has 2 ISOs that the camera can comfortably sit at with very little to no grain. Now, Canon does have a couple cameras that have dual native ISO, however, their ranges aren't usually as wide. The Canon C70, for example, has, I believe it's 800 and 3200. Those are both ISOs that you can sit at comfortably. However, the Sony FX6, for example, has dual native ISOs between 800 and 12,800. I did shoot a music video a while ago at 12,800, and I cannot believe that it barely had any grain. But the downside to Sony is that they tend to have not the greatest colors coming out of camera. Their blues look a little too purple, their oranges look a little too yellow. So if you're working with Sony cameras, you actually have to do a little bit of color grading in post-production. Their newer cameras like the FX3 has actually addressed that a little bit, and so their colors have gotten better. However, I still believe that Canon colors are superior to Sony's. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but I actually used to be really into Magic back in the day, and I always had a deck of cards with me, and that's how I made friends, which was a very strange way to make friends, I'm not gonna lie. I've been practicing this trick, right? It's called the top shot. Basically, let's see if I can do it on camera. Ah, come on, hold on. Come on. Close, hold on. There we go. 15 tries later. But you know, I think it's a cool way to display people's cards. Like, you know, is this your card? Or something like that. I was practicing this trick like a million times yesterday, and I had cards laying on my floor everywhere. Are these your cards? Jeez, bro. Okay, I gotta stop doing this before I go down the rabbit hole with this again. All right, so I'm hungry again. So I'm gonna make a classic dish that I made it before. See if you guys remember it. All right, I got the hot rice here. You guys know the drill. Take an egg, crack it directly into the hot rice. Almost have a soy sauce, but add some soy sauce. I used Moise right here in the last video whenever I made this, and I'm almost out but I still got some left, so I'm gonna use it. Put that directly on top. If you don't got this stuff, use salt and MSG. Take your fancy Harry Potter looking chopsticks, break up the yolk, and mix that egg in with the hot rice. The hot rice kind of cook the egg a little bit. If you want to, you can actually put another egg yolk on top. It's been a while since I made this on camera, so let's see if I did it any better. You know it's good, man. You know it's good. Let's try it. Okay, a bit of an invisible time jump, but I've been editing for the past 2 or 3 hours. Just sitting here with my eyes glued to the screen, editing this video, and updating the Filmmakers Code website. Be sure to check out the new website whenever that look goes live. But in the meantime, let's move on to the second thing that you need to buy on this list, that being your lens. Yes, the next thing that you need to get on this list is a good lens to match the good camera body that you just got. I know. The price tag is racking up a little bit, but in order to get the best result possible, you do need to get a lens that is comparable to the camera. All right, so how do you choose a lens? The first thing you need to do is determine on whether or not you want to get primes or zoom lenses. Zoom lenses, as it says in the name, are lenses that you can actually zoom and change the focal length on, and prime lenses are lenses that cannot zoom and are fixed to one focal length. So what are the benefits to the two? Well, with a zoom lens, obviously, is range of focal length, so you can actually zoom in and out and get different focal lengths on the fly. And with prime lenses, they are fixed to one focal length. However, since they are designed for that one focal length, they tend to look a lot cleaner. And in prime lenses, the apertures can open a lot wider. But either way, whether you go with prime or zoom, I personally recommend that the lenses you get should have apertures no higher than f2.8. That is so you can open up your aperture fairly wide and get more light to come through the lens. That way you have the flexibility of working in low and high light. I own the Sigma Art Prime series. I have 3 of them right here, and they have apertures that go open to about 1.4. The vlog lens that I'm using right here has an aperture of f4, and I'm gonna probably be switching to something wider fairly soon. Alright, so I had to take a walk, guys. I have been cooped up all day, just editing. Feels good to get out. Starting to warm up again in Texas. It's a good day outside. But I don't know how I feel about it warming up again, because you guys know how Texas is. You know, it's just usually like 100 degrees for, you know, the majority of the year. You know what I really don't like though? Bugs, man. The minute it gets a little hot outside, the mosquitoes come out and they start chewing me up. But something that I do like is our mini cinematography course I'm about to tell you about.
Our mini cinematography course, the Filmmakers Cheat Code, is the ultimate crash course to become an expert cinematographer in just 1 week. We cover the 7 fundamentals of a cinematic image that every cinematographer needs to know, along with some other bonuses, such as our brand new custom light leak pack captured on the Red Dragon 4.5K sensor that you can use to add some flair to your shots. This course is the best launching point for those of you who just got your first camera and are scouring YouTube tutorials like this one trying to learn how to use it. Click the link in the top right corner and the first link in the description below to check it out.
Alright, I finally found a nice spot to sit down. So let's move on to the third and final thing that you need to get whenever you're first starting out as a beginner filmmaker, and that is the gimbal. You need to find something that you can get smooth shots with. Start moving your camera, because camera movement is one of the greatest things that separate the amateur from the professional. I've said that several times on this channel now. My recommendation for gimbals is the DJI line, the DJI Ronin S's. So the DJI Ronin S, the RS2, the RS3, and the RS3 Pro are absolutely awesome gimbals. You can also check out the GlideCam line that was made popular by Devin Supertramp whenever he was sticking his red on the GlideCam. The learning curve on a GlideCam is a lot longer than a gimbal, but if you can operate a GlideCam, you can probably move your way into Steadicam, which is basically the same thing, just a lot bigger. But if you just want to start out, I do recommend getting a gimbal such as the DJI Ronin S line. But other than that, guys, I'm gonna have to get home. Getting a lot of weird looks out here with my camera. But if you made it to the end of this video, dude, you know I appreciate you. Go ahead and hit the link. Ugh, can't talk. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. If you're new here, I release 1 video every single week. They're absolute bangers and you don't want to miss them. And if you have any more questions, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video.